What's up, everybody? This is Brad with the Mature Minded Gamers, and this is just a quick heads up. We had some audio problems on this episode, which is why it took a little longer to get out there, so bear with us as you get through this episode and enjoy. What's up, everybody? This is Brad with the Mature Minded Gamers. We are a group of adult gamers who have jobs and lives, but also several passions, like board gaming, Star Trek, and much more. You can check out our website, maturemindedgamers.com, where you'll find links to our YouTube channel, Twitch streams, and all of our podcasts. Today, we're bringing you another episode of our Star Trek podcast, where we cover all things Trek.
What's up, everybody? This is Brad with the Mature Minded Gamers, and we're here tonight to give you another 3 episodes of Season 4 of Next Generation, starting with Episode 16, Galaxy's Child. I've got the standard bridge crew with us tonight, Eric and Will.
Hey, hey.
Make it so.
And Eric's going to tell us a little bit about this episode.
Galaxy's Child. This is personally one of my favorite episodes because of a couple reasons. First, we see a different journey that the Enterprise takes. They become a mother. Or it becomes a mother, I suppose. So the Enterprise encounters a new form of alien who actually becomes aggressive on them. And so they try to get away, but it's sending radiation on them and it's about to kill them. And so they have to do a low fire phaser shot. It ends up killing the being. But it all comes around because they detect another life form. They don't know what it is at first. But then they realize that the alien was actually pregnant and it has a baby after the Enterprise gives a little bit of phaser help by, dissecting its mother, giving a little C-section. And then the baby alien thinks that the Enterprise is its mother and latches on, starts draining its power. That's the main plot. The side plot, however, is that Leah Brahms comes aboard the Enterprise to see what this engineer has been doing to her ship. Little does she know, though, that this engineer, Geordi LaForge, has made a hologram of her from a previous episode. If you remember, Booby Trap, way back from season, I think 2 or 3. And so he already knows, or thinks he knows, who Leah is. But that turns out to not be true. As he gets shot down repeatedly, they get aggressive. She finds his little fake hologram. It is fantastic. Great storytelling. We see a lot of character from LeVar. And I think the woman who played Leah did a fantastic job, too. It was really nice seeing her and him act together because they both did an excellent job. All right, guys, what did you think of Galaxy's Child?
I kind of enjoyed this one, to be honest with you. I thought it was pretty interesting to see a space alien, if you will, that was, kind of like a ship, or, wasn't necessarily had to be on a planet. It was just, a creature that lives in space itself. And I thought that was just a different take on the standard trip, what we would normally think of as an alien civilization or an alien creature, especially at the end of it where you have the whole pod of them come in. I mean, it's almost like big space whales or whatever, but I thought it was pretty interesting. A side plot, or the side story, I should say. I'm sure, I can speak from experience here. I've been shot down as far as with, my initial thoughts of who somebody is, and then end up having a crush on them, and then end up, things just don't work out. But I just like that, oh man, oh, he's gonna get found out. And then when he runs in, and she, kind of looking at herself in the hologram, I just thought it was like, oh man, it's like, oh, gotcha. I enjoyed it. I just squirmed a little bit myself, and it was just a fun watch.
Yeah, I'm just been over here talking on mute before Will did. So I was saying that this is one of my top, probably, we'll give it at least top 20, maybe even top 10 of Next Generation.
I think I always look forward to this episode after seeing the
Booby Trap episode, just because I know it's awkward, and Geordi LaForge obviously has emotions for Leah Brahms way before she even knows who he is, and coming aboard to do this inspection, every part of it is just kind of a step towards what's going to be the most awkward scene in the entire episode, when she's watching herself kind of be this gushy version of herself. I don't know, for some reason I think that's hilarious. The whole spacefaring creature in the background, to me, that might be the hokey part of this episode. Mainly because I don't know, it just we don't get a lot of other spacefaring creatures, and they don't tend to make any big splashes in the show. I think this is our second of this season, and then after this, I don't know that we get any more in Next Generation or even in many of the other series either. It's just not something that happens very often. So I don't know, the Enterprise becoming a mother and it trying to nurse off of it and that kind of thing, I don't know, seemed kind of, I don't know, forgivable to me. But the rest of it, yeah, I really enjoyed.
See, I like that aspect of it a lot because it's something we don't normally see. I also really liked how they figured out, to take it back to where it belonged by tracing its most heading. And then, there's just metal asteroids here. I forget what it was, something about the asteroids, and it ends up being that the creatures were hiding in there, which I thought was just really cool. It seems really realistic to me, because that's how nature works. I know, I like that aspect a lot. I didn't really think it was bad at all. It mixed with the Geordi, and the Geordi story I just thought excellent. Just a great episode overall. I like both aspects of it. Some of the techno mumbo jumbo was a little ridiculous, but it was fine. Like overall, like you said, definitely one of my top 20. I would say probably too. I agree with you there. Any final thoughts on this episode, gentlemen?
I'm trying to think. I think that I'm trying to remember. I'm going to end up editing this out, but I'm trying to remember there was at least one other part that wanted to. He has dinner with her. They talk about the thing. They go through the Jeffries tubes. I mean, for it being our favorite episode, we really don't have a whole lot to say about it, huh?
I mean, it was good. I mean, I think we covered it well. There's not really. I mean, we could go into detail, I guess, about I really wish at the end that she said she had a husband at the end. She would have, kind of played it off like I didn't really have a husband, sucker, and then beamed off. I think that would have been funny.
That's hilarious.
So, do you feel like Geordi's like the one character that never really has gets companionship?
I mean, they definitely, so far it's been that way, hasn't it? He's failed with everybody. He had the one engineer chick who she was in love with him, basically falling head over heels for him, and he just didn't even try. It's like you get an echo from you, Will. It's like he's, it's just like almost the inside joke of Enterprise, which is funny because, let's be honest, he's probably getting the most tail of all the crew, except for Riker, but you can edit that out.
I probably will. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of hilarious that Geordi is the person that has tried the most to find companionship, and he has just gotten shot down left and right. I'm trying to remember what episode was it where he tried to set up the whole beach scene, and I don't know, that couldn't have been too long ago. We covered that one recently, but I don't know. He's the only one on screen that just consistently gets shot down. This one here, I think that over time, like if she didn't already have a husband, then he would have had a shot with her. I think his affinity to the ship and whatnot, and especially for the modifications that he'd made to the ship, just sort of attracted her to him. And when she finally did tell him she had a husband, I think that, she was kind of flattered by everything after she got over the holodeck version of herself. But I don't know, that is kind of funny. Yeah, the rest of the characters, I guess, to just, step in with some of that. The rest of the characters really didn't shine a lot in this episode. I mean, we get a little bit of Captain Picard doing his thing and his curiosity towards the spacefaring creature. Data really doesn't contribute much at all. Riker, isn't anything more than, in the background. I don't know that very many other people really stood out in this. Do you guys?
This is definitely a Geordi-centric episode. Everybody else is just this little side cast, really. I mean, you got a little bit of Geordi talking in 10 Forward to Guinan about, how did I not know she was married and stuff like that. But that was really it. Standard Guinan, role, basically.
Which we actually get Guinan in the next couple of episodes, too. So that's kind of interesting.
I don't know if I go that far, but that's a good segue. Night Terrors is next. Are you guys ready?
Wait. Before we jump in that, you say you don't think that's that interesting? You don't like Guinan?
She's
No.
okay. She there's too much mystery and not enough resolve.
What?
Too much mystery, not enough resolve. She's such an interesting character they never really played out.
Are you kidding me? I had no idea I was doing this podcast with two people who did not like Guinan.
I'm not saying I don't
like
like
Guinan.
I like her.
I
I wish
agree
we
with
got
Eric.
more of her. We
don't learn anything about her.
There's all this mystery with Q at the beginning, never gets resolved. All this other mystery about what, she says things about having all these kids and never gets resolved. We never find anything else out about it. She is a tease.
And you guys were like gushing about getting her into Picard too.
Well, maybe we're going to learn more about her.
Maybe we're going to get our answers.
Oh man. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like a revelation. Okay. All right then.
All right. Night Terrors features a Deanna Troi-centric episode where the Enterprise encounters the USS Britannia, who is Britannia. Oh, just like Encyclopedia, huh? Who is adrift in space. And it looks like everybody on board except for one person has died, fought with each other. Something crazy's happened. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. The only survivor is in a what's the word?
Catatonic.
What is it?
Almost catatonic.
Yeah, almost catatonic state. And he is a Bajoran. No, not a Bajoran. He is a Betazoid like Deanna. So she's able to communicate with him a little bit. And she starts having these weird dreams. And it ends up being the whole answer to what's going on. But in the meantime, the Enterprise gets stuck in the exact same space-time anomaly trap that the Britannia was stuck in. Britannia, how do you say it? Britannia? That doesn't sound right. Anyways, you get stuck in the exact same space-time anomaly, and they're stuck in drift. I think it was like 2 weeks, 10 days or something like that. They're stuck, and they start losing their minds as well. And it all turns around to be that nobody's dreaming. And so Dr. Crusher, I think, is the one that solves that eventually. Dr. Crusher and Troy. And then we get Troy being able to communicate, and we find out that it's actually an alien race that's stuck in this time anomaly as well, and they have to work together to cause this weird ass explosion, which didn't make a lot of sense. And the episode kind of lost me there towards the end, and I wasn't really into this episode very much at all. And I mean, I love Deanna Troi. You guys know that she's my girl, but I didn't feel like this episode really did her justice, and I think the writing wasn't very good personally. So, what do you guys think of this one?
Okay, so
Boring.
yeah, it's not really a gripping episode, and I think they tried to make it into something that was a little more gripping. The whole idea that the whole crew of the Britannia like turned on themselves is kind of it's a repeat thing again. I mean, this is the second, I think, episode in Next Generation where we've had something similar to that. It's not that interesting of a storyline. I think that this is again. I tend to not like episodes where we get a species that does this crazy thing and then never shows up again. Like, okay, so we have another species at the other side of this time vortex, whatever the crap it is, and we never learn anything about them other than the fact that they can only communicate through Deanna Troi and through her dreams. And she's the only one dreaming because she's the only Beta Z, etc. It just, I don't know. There's just a lot of those things that are really hokey and hard to stitch together, or are only there as plot points. Feels very 90s TV-ish, which I know that this is early 90s, so that makes sense. part of the thing that I do like about this episode, though, is as it continues to go on and we get, through several days of the crew not sleeping, I think we get to see the depth of more of the characters a little bit more, and that is something I like. We see kind of how, everyone's crazy comes out a little bit and what it looks like. We even get, at one point, O'Brien's sidekick, whatever his name was, it'll come to me in a minute.
Bashir.
No,
wrong
not
series.
in this episode. It's dang it, I can't remember. Anyway, is like throwing a fit and 10 forward, and Guinan pulls out a gun and shoots it, and is kind of like, that's setting 1. Who wants to check out setting 2? And I don't know, stuff like that I think are kind of fun and show that it's not an uptight show. But we get like Worf getting ready to, commit, ritual suicide because he's going out of his mind. And I don't know, it just is kind of interesting to see everybody kind of go through that crazy a little differently.
I enjoy episodes where we do get to see other ships. I like that we get to see the Britannica, or whatever it's called, and I like it, but I wish we had a little bit more variation in the ship design. Because this one was, they've used the same model before.
That's a variation of the Reliant.
Right. So, but I want to see a little bit more variation in it. I mean, we know that there's more designs, and I didn't know it was, limitations on budget and everything. I don't know how I felt about like how by today's standards, not really, but like back then, how scary this episode kind of was, as far as like it kind of being a little more horrific than some of the other episodes, or horror themed than some of the other episodes we've gotten in the past, or what we see in the future. It was definitely a different take on standard Trek, which, makes it stand out enough, but it wouldn't be an episode that I would jump to watch again. I'm like, you guys know, I'm not a Deanna Troi fan. I just, I don't know. It was okay at best, but it was not an episode I would jump to watch again.
Yeah, as I said in my summary, not my favorite episode. Deanna Troi was the highlight, but didn't really enjoy it. You are right, Will. This is less Trek and more like X-Files-ish almost. So it did kind of go off the beaten track a little bit. I would only watch this episode for the moments with Deanna in her nightgown. That'd be about it.
Well, but to that same point, it's not that that's bad to go off the beaten path. I do enjoy it when they do that. It just wouldn't be, this particular story wouldn't be, if it was less Deanna and more about like the dreams, and it wasn't necessarily Deanna having to be the one that, if it was the whole crew coming up with the solution, I'd have been more down for that. But I just don't like Deanna centric episodes for whatever reason. I just don't.
I like it when it focuses more on her telepathic ability. Well, I guess that's not true, because this does focus on that a little bit. I like it more when it's more about like with her mother, when they're having like family issues.
I agree with that. Now, is this the first time that we see Data take over as acting captain while Picard is down? I don't recall seeing Data, doing that before.
In the episode a couple back where they went through that planet that one of their anonymity, and
oh yeah,
so we had that one.
But he wasn't really acting captain. He just kind of wiped everybody's memory and stuff, right?
He's the only one that
but
out.
There was a short time
like
frame where he was
captainship of the of the ship or anything,
right?
And I think this is one of the first times that I recall so far seeing that.
Well, we've seen him steal the ship to drive to his dad's planet, but that doesn't really count either.
Which I still don't know how he didn't get court-martialed for that, but whatever.
Can't court-martial your favorite actor, your number one fan favorite. It'd be like killing that dude from Walking Dead that everybody loves. What's his name?
Spoilers.
Damn it, what's his name? Dude with the crossbow.
I'm sorry. Are we still doing a Star Trek podcast, or is this
I'm comparing fan favorite characters here. What is that guy with the crossbow's name in The Walking Dead?
Daryl?
No one
Daryl.
cared.
Yes, everybody cares. You kill Daryl, we riot. That was
Everybody
like
cares.
a theme. Everybody.
No, when they killed Glenn is when I stopped watching the spoilers though.
You know, I've seen a lot of people say that's when they quit watching. I mean, it was gruesome, but it wouldn't make me stop watching. Like, I didn't mind it that much.
Can you imagine though if actually one of the main characters in this show they did kill off, like a good one?
Like Tasha Yar.
No, like I said, like a good one. I mean, that's kind of when the show actually started getting good, is when Tasha Yar was out of it.
I don't know if I'd say that. She was the factor there.
Oh, not at all, but I'm just, comparing. But can you imagine if Riker bit the big one? Or, as their intentions were to be able to have Picard go and Riker take over? That'd have been crazy.
It's like losing to Wesley Crusher.
Shut up, Wesley.
Shut up, Wesley.
So speaking of Daryl Dixon, is that his last name? I think. We got an identity crisis coming up next. Not a show crisis like we suffered. In this one, the ship goes and investigates a mysterious incident that happened 5 years earlier with none other than Geordi LaForge. So we see a young Geordi in this one, that doesn't look any different, but whatever. So Geordi is on a planet investigating a weird disappearance, and they film this whole exploration event, and that's that. So why are we looking at this film, you wonder? Well, the people who were on that away team have started to disappear mysteriously. And there's only 2 of them left, and she comes on board, I believe, I don't remember her name. Colby? Is that right? Doesn't sound right.
Seems legit. We'll go with it.
Anyways, she comes on board and she is worried. She's talking to Geordi, hey, we got to figure out what's going on or we're next. And so Geordi does this really cool thing with the hologram where he reactivates the videotape, puts it in the hologram or holodeck, and figures out that, hey, there is a mysterious being in the shot that is invisible or camouflaged. All while this is going down, the woman who came on board to talk to Geordi about the situation is slowly transforming herself. And we get I thought this was a really cool makeup effect, or whatever you want to call it, for the early 90s, as her transforming into like this blue, translucent looking skinned alien. And this show, actually, speaking of that, got an Emmy nomination for creature makeup for this episode, which I think was well deserved. And it all ends up being resolved in the end, at the very last second, by the way, from Dr. Crusher figuring out how to reverse this process and bringing the female back from, I don't know, whatever it is, turning into an alien species. And she's able to talk to Geordi, who beams himself down, is transformed, and gets him to come back onto the ship, and they give him the cure or antidote, and he gets back to life as well, or back to normal. Comes to find out this is how this race reproduces. They have to infect an alien body, and it basically transforms all their DNA into this new alien race. All right, guys, what did you think of Identity Crisis?
I absolutely love this episode for whatever reason. I am not entirely sure. Every time I watch the series, this is one of the episodes that I am like, I can't wait till I actually watch this one. I don't know why I enjoy it so much. Maybe it's the, like as you had mentioned earlier, Eric, was the costume design and how the aliens can kind of camouflage themselves, kind of like a chameleon, if you will. And I love how, Lieutenant Commander Leichtgen, I think is how you say her last name. I think the relationship that she has with Geordi on being able to get him to come back, even though he started to turn and the trust and everything. I think they just did a really good job with it. And, when you talk about like those scary episodes, like we talk about the horror theme, if you will, from the Night Terrors episode. I do enjoy it. I think this one's a little bit on the scary side as far as like those creatures look a little bit freaky. I remember watching this one when I was a kid and just being kind of freaked out by it. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that shocks me because this episode teeters on being an episode that relies on the holodeck. I think is the reason why I'm so surprised you like this one, because I think what I liked about this episode most was that part that Eric, you kind of highlighted during the intro, was that he got real in depth into scanning the background and whatnot, and then realizing that he could go in and make a 3D model of it in the holodeck, which to me kind of solidified why I think holodecks are cool. He was able to step into a photo in 3D and like analyze it and be able to be a bystander while it is playing forward and backward. Like I think that's I think not the moment, but a moment when I realized that I wanted a holodeck real bad. Otherwise,
well, okay, so real quick. So it's not that I dislike the idea of the holodeck and what the holodeck can do, especially in this episode. I just don't like holodeck episodes because I want to be in the future. I don't want to be in the past.
Right. I get that. I just, not a bad thing or anything. I just was surprised to hear you say this was one of your favorite episodes. So,
but
yeah, I don't know. Otherwise,
like recreating that shadow is really.
Yeah, that part's really cool.
Was there anything? Do you have anything from your past? If you could do this with any of your old photos, would you do something similar? Is this one thing you would use a holodeck for?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I do too. So I'm trying to think outside of that. I was not again, for the same reasons in the last couple episodes, I wasn't a huge fan of the aliens procreating by sapping off of other people. I don't know. Again, it seemed kind of kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, 80s, 90s clickbaity sort of thing. Like it was just something to make people want to watch this episode, and then never again did it mean anything ever. I like that Geordi gets another episode really quickly where he's kind of the a central themed character through this, because I like LeVar Burton, and I think that he is one of the stronger actors on the show, even despite all his romantical mishaps. And outside of that, there are a lot of other things that I think I like about this episode. We get to see a little bit into his backstory, which is neat. We get to see when he was on a different ship. That was kind of neat. I mean, he wasn't on the ship, but he was on this away mission, so we get to get a little bit of that backstory.
So it's been 5 years plus, right? So how come visor technology has not made his visor look different?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, he's the only one in all of Starfleet that uses a visor.
That we know of.
I wouldn't say it's that far-fetched, though. I mean, that's a custom-made piece of tech. I mean, that can't be easy to make. It's going to be hard to, that's not something they're going to put a scientist on to work on for this one guy. I mean, this is a federation. The greater good of all, not the greater good of Geordi LaForge.
Yeah, but, Dr. Pulaski wanted to fix him, if you will.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was his choice on that episode, remember? And he didn't want to.
Yeah, he's been pretty staunch about not wanting to lose the visor in character. Out of character, I know that he hated the thing and it was, uncomfortable. So, Yeah. I don't know. I know that they start to flex more about the visor in future episodes. But what it can see and what it can do. I mean, shoot, it's also the reason why we get, there are like 2 episodes specifically we get and Generations where the visor is the crux of the whole episode.
And I think it was the first season they also used it to do a couple things at least. Like he could only see certain things that other people couldn't see and stuff. So what did you guys think about his woman friend who called him like a little brother? Man, they are just beating him down, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's why I was making the comment before. I mean, the entire series, he just never really ever, attaches himself to anybody.
Not
I
in
mean,
that
short
way,
of the
but I mean
ship.
the whole crew is kind of like his family. So I mean, he gets attached to the to Riker and to Worf and to Data specifically. I mean, he and Data have a relationship that's not like anyone else.
A bromance.
Yeah, they have a pretty tight bromance.
Would you be my Data, Brad?
I think so. I might have a little bit of a problem if you tried to open up the side of my skull to do anything. But yeah, otherwise I think I could be your Data.
As long as I know where the power button is, we're good.
It's funny, my wife was just saying the same thing.
What'd you say?
So it's funny, my wife was just saying the same thing. Yeah,
you guys.
You should probably edit that out.
Should probably edit that out.
She won't listen to this anyway.
It was a lame joke. All right, any final thoughts, gentlemen?
So I guess the only final thoughts that I have is that, we kind of hit a stretch of mediocre episodes. I mean, there was that one that we all agreed that it was something that we really enjoyed, except we couldn't really harvest a lot of great things to say about it. I think it may be that we've hit a stride in season 4 where we're kind of closing down on storylines to be able to open up for the final swing of this season. I know in the next upcoming episodes we get some recurring characters that we all enjoy with Reg Barkley, and we get Q in an episode, and then I think we jump into the couple episodes leading up to the finale. So I don't know. I think we're just in that sweet spot of a season where we're just filling time before the end. So maybe next time we'll have a little bit more to talk about.
Let's do a little mini game here, gentlemen. Without looking, which episode of the 3 we just reviewed do you think is the highest rated on IMDb? Starting with Galaxy's Child, Night Terrors, and then Identity Crisis.
Identity Crisis is the highest.
Night Terrors.
Both wrong. It's actually a tie between Galaxy's Child and Night Terrors. I thought Galaxy's Child was the best by far.
Well, I mean, I did too, and I thought that would have been the easy answer, so that's why I didn't pick it.
I would have picked Identity Crisis over Night Terrors too, though. So I would have been way off on that one. But like you said, Barkley in next episode, The Ninth Degree, probably one of my favorite Barkley episodes. Humor is fantastic. I've already watched it. I'm prepped and ready. I'll probably watch it again before we do the review next week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to watch it again. I've been watching through Voyager just in the background, and I don't know. I forget how critical a character he is in Voyager, but just overall, like, well, we'll get into this next time. I don't want to speak too much on it right now.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to our Star Trek podcast. We cover all kinds of other content on our website, maturemindedgamers.com, including board games, video games, and much more. Thanks for listening, and have yourself a great night.